Thank you for listening to the Business Blast podcast. So for all my listeners out there that have been wanting to do your own podcast, I'd like to introduce to you Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. So before I found Anchor, I had never actually done a podcast because all the research that I had gathered made it seem very complex. Then I found Anchor, and Anchor makes podcasting extremely simple. So if you want to do your own podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with the support you need to finish your book. Best part is, after you finish your book, they take care of the entire publishing and marketing process 100% for you. So, if you want to become a successful author, make sure to check out authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Joe Myers with us. He is a financial consultant that is a complete 180 from the mainstream advice. The recent crashes of 2001 and 2008 are glaring events that have proven the mainstream advice is not working and why Joe shares an approach of personal responsibility. So welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. Grateful to have you here. So the first one I got for you, Joe, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
I think early on in my life, as everybody else, kind of just searching for your purpose in life, what you're meant to do. And I remember listening to Earl Nightingale, a program of his called The Strangest Secret. And the one quote in there that just made the world of difference to me was, you become what you think about. And that's probably the most defining moment I think I've had in my life.
And what is the most valuable piece of information we should know within your expertise or industry?
Our current monetary system is a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, okay. And, actually, can you dive a little bit deeper into that? I'm curious. Can you explain what you mean?
Yes. I've been studying the Federal Reserve for over 25 years. And in 1913, our Congress gave control of our monetary system to a private banking cartel, the Federal Reserve, whenever the Federal Reserve Act was passed. Since that time, we've lost over 97% of the value of the dollar. And to help people conceptualize that, in 1970, you could buy 10 candy bars for a $1 bill. Today, you can't even buy one the same size you could back in 1970 for a $1 bill. So we know we've lost our purchasing power. People understand that something's wrong. They just can't put their finger on it. And, in 1971, Nixon completely removed us from the gold standard. So that was actually the event that kind of just opened up the printing presses. So now, the banks just print money out of thin air. If you put $100 in the bank, they only have to put $10 in reserve. They can loan 90 of it out. Well, as that perpetuates, it just keeps devaluing the dollars that are already in the existence in the economy and that have already established the value of the goods and services in our economy. So we're just we're just on a house of cards, and that's what the education that I bring to my clients is what's wrong in our economy, but what we can do to protect ourselves.
Have you ever read the book Creature from Jekyll Island?
Yep, that was actually the starting point with me. I'm 56 years old, and I was probably about 20 years old. Met a gentleman in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We were in a store just talking, and somehow the Federal Reserve came up, and he handed me, this is how long ago it was, he handed me a cassette tape and said, go and listen to this. It was Ed Griffin, who wrote the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, before he wrote the book. And I've been studying him ever since and researching him and everything about the Federal Reserve. And, so yes, that book is, I would highly recommend that to everybody that's a must read. And the way he put it together, I think is very, very fascinating because he kind of puts it in the manner of it's a whodunit and kind of gives you, tells you to read certain parts of the book, from beginning to end without going through the whole book to kind of give yourself a highlight. So
yeah, dude,
it's a very good book for understanding what the economy is and what our Ponzi scheme is all about.
Yeah, no, that book changed my thought process too, dude. That's awesome. I listened to that a couple of years ago, and I was like, "Whoa, this is wild."
Exactly. And it's a shame because I think people do understand. I mean, even like what's been going on in Congress over the last, since Ron Paul wrote his book called End of Fed. I think he kind of put it on the map and really got people to thinking and really understanding. Look, if that's why he just really even called for auditing the Fed, because if the Fed was audited, there would just be a mass uproar across the nation, and people would say, we need to abolish that, Ponzi scheme and take back our own monetary system. And that's what I teach. I teach a grassroots method to avoid fractional reserve banking, so we can take back our monetary system and our personal and financial responsibility, for business or personal. So we can take back that control.
Dude, that is awesome. Cool. So the next one I have for you, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Never give up. There's some things in my life that I had gave up on, and really looking back, I'm kicking myself, and so that's probably what I would tell my younger self, but also tell anybody today.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Treat others the way you want to be treated, because it all comes full circle. I really believe that if you do the right thing by people, whether that person reciprocates or it comes from somebody else, I think that's just a good thing to make the world go around.
And then, what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
It would be Becoming Your Own Banker, written by my mentor in 2000. And he's been teaching the concept that I now teach, and he's mentored me for the last 10 years, of how we can take back control of our personal and business financial economy while improving the national economy. So that's what I do.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
It goes back to you become what you think about, because it's true. And I think if people were really honest, the sum total of their thoughts are exactly where they are in life today. So, it kind of like what I said a minute ago about, don't give up, and me not giving up. I think that's what really has motivated me, because I've even looked back on my life, man, if I would have done that, how this could have changed and that could have changed. So, I just think it's, we become what we think about.
Absolutely, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. The last one I have for you before we let you go is, where can our audience best find you online?
My website is cfiawareness.com, and the CFI is an acronym for Cash Flow Innovations. That's my, that's what I do. And that pretty much, I have a plethora of information on there. The homepage, I try to condense as much as possible, but the rest is just all kind of, just to help people, really gain the knowledge.
Perfect, man. Thanks again for coming on.
Hey, thank you, Tyler. I appreciate it. And blessings to you, my friend.